Look, I don't know anything about Jim Power. I don't know where he's from, why he's shooting things. I don't even know his favorite kind of burrito, which is really the essence of anyone's personality. Ergo, we know nothing about Jim Power. But there are a few things we can deduce based on the lost dimension in 3D. First and foremost, Jim Power is a schizophrenic motherfucker. Second, and second most, we also know at least one of his personalities is a bit of a masochist. Released to the Super Nintendo in 1993, Jim Power, The Lost Dimension in 3D, is one of the most deflating, humiliating, infuriating, and for those of us who brandish testicles, emasculating video games ever made. Hey, want to see a boss? Alright, wait for it. Okay, he's right there! Aww. Now, what makes it so hard? Well, I'm glad you asked, because that brings us to the third thing we know about Jim Power. Jim Power is a huge pussy, because Jim Power is a one-hit kill. This is problematic, because the bad guys are like a million hit kills. You know, all that would be alright if the game were fair about it. In fact, fourthly, Jim Power is one cheap bastard. I don't mean he buys peanut butter and 5-gallon drums. The sprites are so big that you don't even see the enemies until they're right in your face. I mean, I'm playing on easy and with a turbo controller. Otherwise, my ass would be destroyed like a nuclear taco apocalypse. But I don't want it to seem like I don't like the guy. Jim Power is kind of like the jerk in your circle of friends. You know, he's a huge prick, and all his buddies probably hate him, but you know, he does have a pretty sweet laser gun, and his sister's probably hot. In fact, despite him pushing my face into the gravel during recess, the fifth thing I can tell you about Jim Power is that Jim Power's good times. Lost Dimension in 3D is one of those retro games that has so much wrong, but so much right that you put up with its crap. It has this bizarre art style that it looks like the 90s threw up all over itself, and it ODs on so much parallax that it'll make you do the same. But for some reason, I kind of like the way it looks. It's a hyperactive clash of colors without order, purpose, rhyme, or reason, which is kind of like the gameplay itself. And that brings us to the last thing we know about Jim Power, and that's that Jim Power is one loud dude. And you get the sense that, you know, he knows he's not perfect. He's the bad seed of the Super NES, but he keeps his faults on his sleeve and his laser gun set to fire. And at the end of the day, that's why Jim Power is okay in my book. Kudos to Wesley and Harry from Vermont for sending him along to brighten our days and to laugh at our misfortunes.